Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Business Spotlight interview series. Today, it's my great pleasure to be joined by Shelley Martin, co-founder and CEO of 4Beauty Group. Shelley, delighted you could join us. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Richard. Lovely to see everyone.
Good. Why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and for how long?
Sure. So as you mentioned, Shelley Martin, we own a family-run business based in Carryduff, just outside Belfast, known as 4Beauty Group. We own two brands in the beauty industry. So He She Tan, which will be 20 next year, believe it or not. I feel very old with that one. And Skinish and Skincare, which is a professional cosmeceutical brand that we supply into salons, and that is 12 years this year. So yeah, I've been in the business for that 20 years, and as I mentioned, it was my mother who started the business, and she comes from a professional salon background, so that's really where it started maybe 25 years ago, because she used to distribute other brand products from the likes of Europe into the salons and trade channels here in Ireland. So back then, 20 years ago, we developed He She.
Fantastic. So did you just see like a niche for that?
We did, in that at that stage, everybody was using sunbeds, and really, obviously with regulation changes and stuff there, people started to see that that was an issue. So she did sub-distribute some other tanning products, but then supply became an issue. And it's still our biggest win to date, where she went to the UK, to the manufacturer that we still use, and said, I need a liquid tan, I can take it to Ireland. And he was like, don't be crazy, Hillary, that's bonkers. And she convinced him to make her 5,000 units of tan, and that's how she started, with the liquid tan, which is still our hero product today, and a tanning mitt, and off she went and captured that beauty market.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. So in that, who is the ideal customer then? Is it the end user, or is it a beauty salon, or?
Yeah, so we do supply different channels. So our customers are the trade channels, so retailers, beauty salons, grocery. We do have our own website, so we are connected to those end consumers as well. But obviously that end consumer is really our user, who is using the product, giving feedback. We have a very loyal customer following, because we are a premium tan. It's all about quality for us and ingredients. So you know that if you want the best tan possible, it's a He She Tan. So we are still the only, or the longest standing founder owned brand in the UK and Ireland. So I think to punch in 20 years in tanning is quite an achievement.
Fantastic. Awesome. And everybody can look nice and tanned, which you don't get naturally here in Northern Ireland. Without the risks of the sunbeds or sitting out in the sun for hours and hours and hours overseas.
Absolutely.
So, very good. Excellent. So what's been your biggest learning since being a business owner?
For me personally, I think probably, not to take failure. So I don't even like to call it failure, but not to take it so personally. Some things work, some things don't work. Like, that's just life. But having that consistency to show up every day. I mean, we punch in long hours, we do what we have to do, and you have to show up. And, over time that becomes more difficult. You have to keep self-motivating yourself. But definitely, if something's not working, cut it fast. Fail fast, fail cheap. That's my mantra.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's do something different. And I think, from where we started to where we are today, industry changes, consumers change, those requirements change. So you have to work with it, because otherwise you do get left behind. And that's just life, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. No, excellent share. And when you were growing up then, I guess with your mother being in the beauty industry, was this something you were naturally always inclined to and wanted to do, or was this totally different?
It's a bit of a funny story. Well, growing up at home, she they always had 2 or 3 jobs, and they were always working from home and doing that from home. So that business side, and very first computer we ever had, I was typing up invoices for. So we always had that. We walked the streets, me and my friends, doing mail shots, and still, that's still scarring. But that was a really, really good experience. I did want to, so my first real passion was, I thought I wanted to be in the army.
Okay.
And I went to Ballykilner for a week of work experience in 5th form. And I very quickly decided that that was not for me. But that was great. And I'm so thankful that you had that opportunity to do that. And then I went on to do my A levels, and I always thought I wanted to be a teacher. Even from a young child, I wanted to be a teacher. So again, a week in my own primary school, Clinchy Primary, I thought, nope, that is definitely not for me either. And I did go on and do management and information systems from a degree perspective. So it was always going to be something businessy. I mean, I guess teaching does come into my role now from a leadership perspective. So, but yeah, I'm glad I had those 2 weeks of work experience, because it could have been very different.
Yeah, and I was going to say, it was amazing that you could quickly disqualify those 2 roles with just a week. There's some people get into it, and then it's after a number of years they went, well, this is not for me. Change of course here. Absolutely. So great. So what's been the biggest issue you've had to overcome?
I mean, I guess it was really COVID at the time. Literally our customer base closed overnight, and at that stage we were only really starting to look at our own websites and talking to that end consumer. So that was challenging, because as well the team were also a predominantly female team, and they were trying to homeschool and everything at home, and that is so hard to watch. Trying, from a professional and a personal perspective, it was so difficult to change. So yeah, you just have to be resilient. You have to everybody was in the same boat, which I think helped, because suppliers were understanding, customers were understanding, but we tried our best. We came through the other end with lots of changes on the back of that as well. At the same time, there was a lot of cosmetic regulation changes with the whole Brexit thing, which was a real challenge, because we did used to still distribute other brands, so Coranda from Italy, for example, but they decided, no, we're not paying for this to be registered on the UK portal. It's a whole new system, all of that registration fees. So there was a brand just gone for us. But it gave us the opportunity to really look hard at our own business, and we have transformed that from being more of a wholesale business with other brands to just looking after our 2 own brands. So that has allowed us the attention and detail that our own 2 brands require. And that's really exciting. So I think that's been the biggest challenge.
Totally. And you mentioned there, obviously during COVID, about the team. What sort of a size of a team have you?
We have 16, with 2 guys in the warehouse, and the rest are females. So just being obviously in the beauty industry, but yeah, we have 16, and that goes right across from sales to marketing to stock management, customer service and delivery. So we have a great team, and we are based in Carryduff, so it's handy.
Yeah, very handy. Yeah. So what have you learned about yourself during this journey?
I think that failure piece of just don't overthink it. We are our worst own enemy in our own heads, and you need people around you to talk to, especially a leader of a business. It can be lonely, it is challenging. And I think when you get outside your own internal, when inside you look in the business, but actually you need to get out and talk to other people. And you just need to keep moving quickly, keep saying yes to things, and that resilience piece. You do have to turn up every day. Don't expect anybody else to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And that's my biggest learnings of everything.
Great.
So far, anyway.
And I guess, am I right then that you have your own family and you've had to grow through this, and you're a business owner, yet a mummy and running a household and bringing up.
And actually, it's one of the things that I talk about being a female leader. You have to be a wife, a mother, a sister, a leader, a daughter. There's almost more pressure on us because you have to be that really great friend, and you're that female character in those relationships. So it is challenging, and you definitely need a good support network. I have my both sets of parents, Colin's mum and dad and my mum and dad, all do the babysitting between them. They are both now at school, so they're P2 and P3, and but it is challenging, especially when you have to travel a lot as well, and everybody else steps in. You couldn't do that without a really great support network.
Sure. Wow. Well done, and every success as you go forward and grow. So what's been the most surprising aspect of owning your own business?
Surprising.
And I don't mean a surprise like COVID, because that sort of
sort
of surprised everybody.
Surprising. I think just how rewarding it is when you do have a great team around you, because when things get tough, you do need that great team. I think whenever you can afford people that flexibility, that one of my biggest things in running my own company at the minute is I do have a level of flexibility with the kids. Turn up to sports day, go for parent-teacher meetings without having to think about it, and I afford that back to the team as well. So I think it's a two-way approach with a team. We're all in this together, let's get on with it. But actually, when things get tough or people need time off for an appointment, look, it's no problem. I fully trust what you're doing, and I think that's trust in any relationship, isn't it? If you don't have that, you don't have anything. But it's really nice and rewarding to be able to give back as well.
Yeah, totally. No, great to hear. So who inspires you in business? And obviously you came up with your parents being I guess role models, and your mum doing the business there, but anybody else who's a great inspiration to you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's loads over time. I do love to read autobiographies, and at the moment, I'm listening to the podcast, Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. I find those speakers fascinating. Like, they are top of their game. And do you know what? We all have the same kind of challenges. It's just how you deal with those challenges. And I do love his posts on LinkedIn, and just how, for such a young guy, 10 years younger than me, just how well he has come on in business. And as I mentioned, I do love listening to those podcasts. We run the business on EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is really good as well. So they have podcasts, and that's linked into Radical Candor and how to give feedback, etc. So yeah, lots of business podcasts. I definitely put the AirPods in and go for a walk and listen to podcasts. So.
Very good, excellent. And tell me a wee bit then about what the future looks like for both yourself and for Beauty Group.
Sure. So again, as I mentioned, we have redeveloped as such that real focus on our own two brands. He/She. So obviously the older brand, as I mentioned, it's 20 years next year. Yeah. So a good splash around that, giving back to our customers and our consumers who have, been very loyal. With Skinition, that's a really exciting brand with really good growth there. And that, we're only really getting time to give some attention to Skinition. So those possibilities, there's lots of different things in the pipeline there. Lots of new products, as always, in tanning and cosmetics. And we do love that MPD process. We love developing new products. We get the whole team involved from an idea perspective right through to creation and testing. They love to see me coming with another product. So
superb. And give me a sense of what you would see as like main challenges going forwards.
Yeah, there's more cosmetic regulation changes coming, which is always challenging. It's fine if they give you that window to clear through stock, but whenever they give you a very short window to clear through stock, it's not helpful, because like I despise waste as it is from a commercial perspective, but obviously an environmental perspective as well. It just doesn't make sense. So that's definitely a challenge coming. There across every industry, everybody's saying the same thing. There's so much stock in the market at the moment. You know, just that catch up from COVID and the component issues from China and all the rest of it. There's a huge catch up, but that's also meaning a lot of discounting, which is not, you know, it's not where brands want to go. It's not helpful. It's not a long-term strategy. So yeah, I think that is the main challenges. But again, it's across the board. It's not just our industry, you know.
Yeah. And I had a great chat last week with again another local company, local fella, and they're, I guess, doing an awful lot of work on packaging. You know, big changes there. I'm sure there's a lot of changes for your packaging of the cosmetics and the treatments.
There is. I mean, we're actually probably ahead of the game with 97% of packaging being fully recyclable. But the challenge with that is for smaller brands. I mean, it's okay if you're a L'Oreal or a big brand that is commercially buying millions and billions of components every year. But it's a real challenge to get that into the smaller companies who, you know, are founder run and don't have that buying power, because right now our industry don't have those solutions available for being fully recyclable. It's, you know, it's not quite there. Where we talk about plastics being so negative, then like there's other considerations whenever you use aluminium, and you know, it's there's a bit of greenwashing going on, etc. And it's, you know, it's not helpful. It will be a work in progress, and everybody has to work to that. But there's definitely no instant solution to it all at the moment.
Of course. Well, I think every business has challenges going forward, but as you've proved over the last 20-25 years, you've done exceptionally well to address those, overcome them, and still grow and do an excellent job. So every success for the future and those challenges. What would you say to anyone that was thinking of going into business for themselves?
There's two sides. There is definitely two sides to it. In if you are a 9-to-5 kind of person, don't do it. You know, if you like that 9-to-5 structured work, and don't want to do weekend work, don't want to punch the hours in at the start, because that's, you know, that is the hard bit, and turning up every day, etc. Then that can be challenging. It may not be the right kind of role, but surround yourself with the right people. You know, you employ people who are better at you in a certain role to add, and that teamwork approach is really, really important. So having the right people in the right seats is it's definitely a necessary.
Brilliant. Great advice. And lastly, in terms of advice, and we'll sort of round up with this one, if we could have that magic ability to wind the clock back, and you could speak to the 18-year-old Shelley, what is the best bit of advice that you would give her?
I think I would have went out and got different industry experience before joining the family business. That was a really quick area of growth. It all made sense, and it was great. But you do learn from other people. I think I would have learned more, having been in other businesses and having training and professional training and etc. But at the same time, the timing was right for that. So there's no right or wrong. But I do think before jumping into a family business, it would be to get experience, or again, at least be able to surround yourself with the right people that can challenge you and help you along. Because at the end of the day, business is all about people and who can help you along that route. Don't try to go it alone, because it is a lonely path.
Yeah. No, great sharing, Shelley. Great advice, and really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for dedicating time out of your busy day and busy life to the Business Spotlight interview. And just wish you every success going forwards.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to hearing much more about the success of 4Beauty Group here in Northern Ireland, but also much further afield.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Richard.